So I could go on and on with visual gems from Epictetus. So I'll try to cut it short. I mean, you need to do the whole reading, um, but I won't go over everything, obviously. That's not what these videos are about. They just give you a little help or a little direction in reading it. The last thing I'd like to draw your attention to is a couple remarks he says, again, towards the beginning. In my experience, students are pretty willing to go pretty, pretty far with Epictetus, and then he says things which seem to be too much. For instance, number three, with regard to whatever objects give you delight, are useful, or are deeply loved, remember to tell yourself of what general nature they are, beginning from the most insignificant things. If, for example, you are fond of a specific ceramic cup, remind yourself that it is only ceramic cups in general of which you are fond. Then, if it breaks, you will not be disturbed. Like if you've got a favorite cup, a treasured little cup that you drink your tea or coffee from, remember, first of all, it's a cup. You know, it's a cup. And you know what? Cups break. So it's going to break. And if it breaks, don't let yourself get upset by that. It's a cup. And that seems pretty reasonable advice. And then he says, if you kiss your child or your wife, say that you only kiss things which are human, and thus you will not be disturbed if either of them dies. Well, okay. He's made a certain leap there, obviously, from cups to children and spouses. And it would seem to be one thing to say, don't get upset if your cup breaks, and another to say, don't get upset if your child dies. And there's something a little shocking about that. And one wonders, first of all, whether it's advice that anyone could actually follow. And secondly, we can ask ourselves whether it's advice that would be good to be followed. Those are different questions, obviously. With regard to the first, I think there's plenty of places, if you when you read through the whole thing, you'll see that living by his philosophy is a process. You know, there's a lot to overcome in human nature: attachment, desire, weakness, you would say, I guess. If you're really going to live this way, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take practice. So to get ourselves to the point where we are not disturbed by the death of loved ones would be quite an achievement, and he understands that, I think. The second question is whether it's something that is worthwhile to pursue, and that's not as easily answered. It really depends. It depends on how you view life, and he's given you a certain view of life. Consider this. uh, Number seven. Consider when on a voyage, your ship is anchored. If you go on shore to get water, you may along the way amuse yourself with picking up a shellfish or an onion. However, your thoughts and continual attention ought to be bent towards the ship, waiting for the captain to call on board. You must then immediately leave all these things. Otherwise, you'll be thrown into the ship, bound neck and feet like a sheep. So it is with life. If instead of an onion or a shellfish you are given a wife or a child, that's fine. But if the captain calls, you must run to the ship, leaving them and regarding none of them. It's almost as if he's saying, there's a metaphor, obviously, that there are things more important than our relationships with other people, and that's living in this way. And that true happiness will only be found this way. Now, again, to say that there are things more important than our relationships with other people, that's a great question, whether there are really any such things. Some people would say no. But it goes to how we really think of life in general. Just point you to one more brilliant little nugget in here. Number 11, never say of anything, I have lost it, but I have returned it. Is your child dead? It is returned. Is your wife dead? She is returned. Is your estate taken away? Well, and is not that likewise returned? But he who took it away is a bad man. Well, what difference is it to you who the giver assigns to take it back? While he gives it to you to possess, take care of it. But don't view it as your own, just as travelers view a hotel. Well, that's interesting. That notion that you should live your life as if you're a traveler in a hotel, in an inn. If you get a room in a hotel, um, you take care of it. You don't you're not sloppy. You don't make a huge mess just because it doesn't belong to you. You treat it with respect, but you always know that it doesn't belong to you. That it's only temporary. That you're going to leave in a day or two and move on. So, how if you like your hotel room, that's great. But remember, it doesn't belong to you, and eventually you'll leave. Well, the good things in life, he seems to be saying, uh, they're temporary and they're not in our control. They don't really belong to us. It goes back to that original division between the things that belong to you are the things in your control, and the things that don't belong to you are the things that are not in your control. You got to concentrate on the things which are in your control if you're going to have any stab at being happy. Whether we can live this way, again, I'm not sure. Whether we want to live this way is another question entirely. Completely a personal choice, but it is a kind of profound challenge to our usual assumptions about what make up the happiness of a human life.